My name is Precious Kalombwana. I am the founder of Citizens Network for Community Development Zambia. It's a women-led organization, a grassroots organization. I started my activism way back when I was in secondary school in Mumbai. I grew up in Mumbai where to see green forests, a lot of farming, and after some times we started experiencing droughts because of deforestation. I had to ask my secondary teacher, what's happening? Why are we experiencing droughts? Why there's no, why is it we are facing the shortage of rainfall? My teacher had to say, Precious, this is climate change. Climate change has come. I asked him again to say, what's the solution? What should we do as the community that is impacted by climate change? My teacher said, you need to grow more trees. It's how I started planting trees with my friends in Mumbai. We were at secondary school, and we did climate education, climate basic education to people to understand why we are planting trees. And after that, after I've graduated from secondary school, I went for greener pastures. I had to move from Mumbai to Lusaka in a compound called Kanyama. Kanyama is just outskirts of Lusaka. It's a biggest slum in Zambia where a lot of people live in. It's about 300,000 people in Kanyama. After some times, after 3 years, we had to experience another challenge different from Mumbai, the droughts and the heat and everything. The challenges in Lusaka, Kanyama was drought, there were floods, waste management, air pollution, because it's an industrial area. And I asked myself again to say, where I come from, there was droughts. And this is the thing that I'm facing again here. What should we do? I started organizing and mobilizing people so that we can try and see how we can fight all these crises that are happening in Kanyama. I had to involve a lot of people, and we founded Citizens Network for Community Development Zambia in 2019. We focus on empowering the community, especially women and girls, and we do advocacy, and we do tree planting, and we also do solve water scarcity to make sure that communities that don't have access to clean water, we drew some borehole for them and make sure that they are also trained on sustainable agriculture. They do their own gardening and have those as their own thing, and to make sure that they generate income from their own gardening and also generate income for their own basic needs. We started asking the government, can you try help us get funding to do our climate education or our door-to-door sensitization so that people can know more about climate change and everything. Until then, we realized that there was nothing, there was no funding, until one of my colleagues said, let's try and see what's happening. Why is the government doing this? Why is the government not being supportive in climate funding? Until we realize that Zambia is indebted, heavily indebted. What should we do as a group since our country is indebted? let's start this campaign called debt cancellation. Let's target the private lenders. It's how we started campaigning for debt cancellation, because of the climate crisis we are in, because we can't fight poverty when the country is indebted. We can't fight climate change when 30% of our annual budget, we repay the loans every year. It's also difficult to access quality education because the government of Zambia is heavily indebted. We don't have medicine in hospitals because the government is already indebted. I would start with my own story. When I received that call that night, that devastating night, when my cousin had to call me that, Precious, your father's house is no more because of the floods of last night. I was like, what? What's happening? Until in the morning, I went to the village to see what's happening. It was my father without a house. The government had to relocate the people from southern province to another safer land. It was very traumatizing for him. He lost his home because of floods, and he lost his ancestral land where he buried his wife. The only words I remember from him telling me, Precious, I have lost this land where I buried my wife. It was very traumatizing to see him, and that makes me who I am today, to stand strong, to demand for debt cancellation. I think everything started from the colonial law back then by the British people who came to extract minerals in our country. And then it seems like when we got our independence in 1964, but we are still colonized somehow, somewhere under the table, and trapped by this debt. It's not just from the country borrowing, but we are trapped. We are still colonized somehow. My message is very clear and very transparent. I'm calling for the UK people to support debt cancellation, to support grassroots organization like ours, and also to make sure that you talk to your MP about how countries like mine are indebted and are facing climate crisis at the same time. And also, when you talk to your MP, make sure that you tell them that they should introduce a new law where private lenders can't sue people that are already in the crisis.